It's showtime. Sorry, I saw that there. That's what the Leslie Nielsen said in Creep Show. As he was about to make those poor people drown. Anyway, well, I was gonna say I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. But okay,
I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
So you can do the singing. You were poo-pooing me trying that. Okay,
I was not poo-pooing you. I was just laughing.
Maybe not. Okay,
I was enjoying it. That just because I'm laughing at you doesn't mean I'm not having fun.
Okay, so we got Horizon Talker. Melissa Harrison Sons, Auditor Dread, Troy Pacelli.
Well, Troy Pacelli just summing up those three for you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he's in the chat. Oh, he's here too. Okay. Auditor Dread, Brian Gilmartin, Big Al presents. Have a great stream, you geezers. Laugh out loud. Netter, always a pleasure. Wolf 10 Media, how you doing? Casey Scott, Artificier Joni. We had you on the stream on Friday. If you want to check out a good stream, check out Troy's channel. We did a fixing the Universal Monster Cinematic Universe, and we were doing a rewatch of Dracula Untold. And if you want to see me go on a rant toward the end of a movie, you like that. You should just cut that rant out, maybe.
and just upload that separately.
I got mad at the end because I'm telling you, it's a movie I want to love. And
I know.
They have that stupid ending. Stupid ending.
It's kind of the way Dracula goes, right? I mean, because the same thing can be said for if you just cut out all of the love story in Bram Stoker's Dracula, you almost have a perfect adaptation of the novel.
Oh man, that whole love story is dumb. I'm sorry. I like Winona Ryder, but it's okay, but Joshua V, welcome. And if I missed anyone else, you have
Did you say Schooner Tuna?
Hi, Schooner Tuna, is he there? Welcome. Yep. Okay, Jedi Master Zootopia, great.
Horizon Talker. Yep.
All right, okay. Cool beans. And we got some slaughter shoot tonight. Okay.
Yeah, speaking of Dracula.
Yeah, we were going to do the good old days segment, and we're going to talk about a television series from the 90s called Dracula.
And I'm starting to think that what you do is during the week, you find some way to work in a topic into one of the streams just to get it in my head so that you can say, hey, yeah, I've seen that too. And yeah, let's talk about that on Sunday. That's going to be the formula. And I don't have a problem with that.
Except that that's not what happens. I wish I was that this week. I wish I was that smart. Maybe I should do that going forward.
No, this week it.
This reminds me of that Garbage Pal Kids. The Garbage.
Yeah, that ain't. Don't even try to make that happen. I know nothing about Garbage Pail Kids.
But my point is that I brought up. No, here's why I brought up Dracula during our Dracula Untold stream. I remember that show Dracula, and I loved the actor who played. First off, let me give you some context for that old Dracula show. There was it was on Saturday mornings, or was it Sunday mornings? It was a syndicated show called Dracula. It was
like Saturday afternoons, and it was on Sci-Fi, wasn't it?
It was on, it may have moved to Sci-Fi later on. It was on, I think it was on like whatever UPN was before UPN existed, and they would show
so much better when it was UPN, I gotta say.
Yeah, and basically it was, it was about these two American kids. Their mom got a job working over, I guess, in Transylvania.
I don't know. It was filmed in Luxembourg. The uncle was from Germany. I don't really
whatever.
know.
In some European country I'd never heard of. Okay. And also who runs a business in this European country is a man by the name of Alexander Lucard,
right? Who
is never really seen during the daylight and has a sensitivity to sunlight and may just want to suck your blood. Okay. It's Dracula. Exactly. He's been alive all along. And I think their uncle Gustav, who they're staying with, he was like Van Helsing's like great grandson or something, right? I think
exactly right.
And it was all about Dracula in the modern age, and it was kind of a goofy kids show, but it worked, and it was creepy in its own right. And the guy that got to play Dracula nailed it. He completely nailed it. I need to find out that actor's name. I'm doing him a disservice, but they're all on YouTube actually.
Wait, the one that played Dracula?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was his name?
Ramble on. Okay, well, I find his name because this always happens.
Yeah, so the shtick on this thing was, I mean, I remember it being very similar to and having seen it again more recently, very much drawing cues from Monster Squad, from Lost Boys.
Yeah,
a lot of those tropes. And here's another interesting thing. A lot of these actors that were in this show went on to do other vampire things. The one that played Uncle Gustav's son, who becomes a vampire, he went on to be Nick Knight in Forever Knight.
Huh.
I can't. Yeah. Well, I know that the girl, the love interest for the eldest boy, she grew up to be Amanda Grayson on Star Trek Discovery. Poor thing. But
she was also on no, but she was also one of the Crow movies. So she had kind of the whole goth thing going on. Yeah.
And a lot of them showed up on subsequent. One of them ended up on Vampire Diaries too. I mean, and there was another element of this, although it was like 8 years before it. In 99, there was a show called Kindred the Embraced. That was also about vampires. Very similar kind of feel and formula to it. Yeah, I could almost picture them being in the same, world, so to speak. But it was 1990. It was the 1990 to 1991 season, and it doesn't. Let's face it, it's early enough in the 90s that it doesn't have that 90s feel to it. It's still a late 80s kind of feel.
Yeah, it's that weird late 80s, early 90s feel that was its own thing. Because I had a suspicion that the 90s was going to take on a whole different, I think I've even brought this on the stream before, a whole different feel to it. And then the big recession happened, and then it was all about grunge music and everything else because everybody was depressed. And then we came around with the .com bubble. But the well, we didn't really, but we thought we did anyway. But the point is that
that's why it was called a bubble.
Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially the late 80s, I see that as kind of that late 80s, early 90s thing. Parker Lewis Can't Lose, the show that embodied that whole era. New Jack City. That movie, that it had all that kind of like but
I just so the one of the wonderful things about the interwebs these days is we're talking about this show and Boomer says, "Hey, remember this?" Yeah, I remember it. And then in private chat he sends me a link to a YouTube playlist, and it's the whole one season of this Dracula. And so today I just sat and I watched the first 10 of however many episodes these are. Yeah,
I tried watching the episode I showed you and I didn't even have time. Okay.
And what's funny about it is it's so cringy. It is so PG-13, maybe not even PG-13, PG-ish.
Yes.
It's melodramatic, and some of the dialogue is just over the top. It's just, although, like you said, the guy playing Dracula, he takes it seriously and over the top when he's supposed to. He plays it cool and humorous when he's supposed to. He does a great job. He really, really does. Kind of makes you like the character, as much as there is no doubt he's a villain. He's a villain.
He's charming.
They play him as an absolute evil. I mean, there's even one, this psychic is like, I sense a great evil. He's like, oh, really? Do you know where this evil is coming from?
Yes. Oh man, I think there was even a romantic interest thing with him one time, and that still went sour because he's still evil.
Yeah,
I think that happened one episode. My favorite episode, I think, was the episode with the vampire gun. How that goofy
that
guy
actually
with
is
the
in
mustache.
2 episodes because they follow that one up.
They did follow it up. Yeah, there's a scientist, and he actually says, I know you like Wolf's Bane and garlic and all this stuff, but we have science now to stop the vampires. And he created a gun that could basically shoot sunlight. Wasn't that what it is? And you can kill the vampire that way. It's like concentrated sunlight. And then at the end of the episode, he tries it on like one of Alexander Dracula. I keep calling him Alexander Lecard's, underlings, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then like the guy's like talking to him at the end. Turns out that guy was a bungler after all. And then suddenly he's like, wait a minute. And then he explodes he bursts into flame. And then Dracula realizes, oh, this gun actually does work. How interesting. And then he throws it in the fireplace. And then later on, he says, that was a mistake. That was hasty because I have this thing. I can take out any other vampire I want.
Exactly.
So I can be the Lord of the Undead.
The shtick of it was, he's like, oh, so he wasn't so bumbling after all. Lucard, you own the world's only delayed action vampire gun. And that's when he destroys it. And then, later episode, he kidnaps the guy and forces him to remake it because he's like, yeah, I could definitely use this. Although he accidentally improved it because it works instantly now.
Yeah, because they would have other vampires show up on the show, like Nosferatu showed up on the show.
Yeah, and it bothered me that instead of referring to him as Count Orlok, which would have been the smarter way, oh, Nosferatu. It's like, no, I mean, would anyone call you vampire? I mean,
I know. It's a kid's show. Okay.
Kinda. That's how it, yeah, you're kind of right. Although, when I rewatch this now as an adult, two things stand out to me. First,
what?
Way hokier than I remember it being as a kid. Does not hold up the same for an adult as it did for a kid in the 90s. But that being said, there's also some undertones of implied story that only an adult would get. There's when they first introduce Gustav's son, I forget, Klaus or something like that.
Yeah, Klaus, yes.
He is obviously an underling to Lucard because, Lucard turned him
into a vampire. Yeah.
But there's a little bit of an insinuation there about their relationship. Not overt at all, but it's kind of there if you know. And even more so when the Contessa, whatever her name is, later on is palling around with the girl, the main girl from the show, and wants to make her protege. There's very clearly a Carmilla thing going on there, even more overt. And I'm like, wow, I did not catch that back in the 90s.
I didn't either. I remember there was always the kind of romance between the older brother and the girl, but it was always on and off because
that was so sweet. Yeah.
Because I don't know if he was just shy or something. Like she was very forward in the beginning, and I'm,
well, they play it kind of weird.
Pretty young
it's like
woman
they're not in the same place at the same time all the time. So
and then his ex-girlfriend shows up, and then that messed things up. I remember that, and that was just, there
was a lot of ways that show could have gone. I mean, I really do wish it would have gotten a second season, but from what I understand, some things went south behind the scenes, and they lost funding. And they literally did not have budget to make a second season, and it just never happened.
Well, you know what we got as a replacement? Because the guys that made that went on to make another series called Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like it. I'm sorry. That was
no. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I felt it was an unnecessary series.
I don't care. I liked it.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm going to tell you something too. I need to tell everybody about a tragedy, a life tragedy. Okay, I was a big fan of Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. Yeah. My mom liked the show too. I used to watch it with her. Okay.
Well, that's a personal connection.
It's a personal connection too. We watched the first 3 seasons, and then season 3 happens, and it has his son. He's training to be a Shaolin monk. He actually goes through all the training, including the thing where I think he was going to put his hands on the hot thing. Remember, in, like in the old show, the 70s show, and then he decides, but I'm still going to be a cop. And then his dad says, that's okay. You can be a Shaolin cop. Then they walk off into the sunset. And I thought, oh, well, that's the ending of the show. I didn't know that they made a 4th season because this was right around the time when I didn't really have good internet access, so I didn't know what was getting canceled or what wasn't.
Oh.
And they also must have changed the time on me because I didn't see it on the original slot, so I figured it just ended because that felt like a series finale.
Sure.
And I didn't know they made a whole another 4th season, including one where Kwai Chang Caine becomes a radio talk show host.
Oh my
I need to watch this 4th season one day. In fact, I want someone to put it on streaming.
I feel like that's the kind of thing where you feel like you need to see it, but then once you see it, you're going to be like, I kind of wish I hadn't seen this.
Oh, you think it's not going to hold up like I think it will? I beg to differ. I watched a little while back the episode with the Mad Magician that one actor who always played creepers on show. He plays like an evil stage magician, and Kwai Chang Caine has to take it. Never mind.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
No,
All right.
I mean,
Well, this is not
whatever.
the Kung Fu discussion. My point is, early 90s syndicated shows were weird. This is why TNG was as huge as it was, because TNG was like a big budget spectacular compared to all the other syndicated shows. You understand?
Let me just say, I am so glad that this Dracula show followed that late 80s, early 90s formula where they give you like a prologue before you get the opening credits.
Yeah.
Because if you started with those opening credits, I never would have made it through. I mean, it starts out with this music that I swear sounds like Weird Science.
It does.
And the only words are Drac.
Dracula.
I'm like, oh, for crying out loud, stop, please.
It's so corny. And it's one of those things, even when you are a kid, you're like turning your head around to make sure no one's in the room. Before your older sibling or even a parent comes in.
Somebody be laughing at me about
it. You're watching that stupid show.
Or worse yet, your mother comes in and goes, "Hey, who's that? He's cute."
Oh God, no.
Yeah, that happened to me.
No, you can't do that. That was me in Saved by the Bell. I can't. No, I don't. I'm not watching this around my parents. Okay. I used to watch Saved by the Bell.
Kind of got a Saved by the Bell kind of feel to it too. Yeah, now that you mention it.
It did, and it was just Saved by the Bell with vampires.
Saved by the Bell with vampires.
There you go. That's how it was pitched.
Basically how it is. It's absolutely right. Yeah, I recommend you. It's out there for free on YouTube. Go check it out, people.
Yeah, just type in Dracula the series. I get a kick out of it. And I brought that up though because we were watching Dracula Untold, the thing where Dracula turns into the bunch of bats, and I'm saying that was on that Dracula TV show, and he does that. And even though it's kind of a cheap effect, I still liked it when I was a kid because it was around that time too. I was getting really into those Castlevania games, and I'm like watching the show about Dracula too. I'm all about. I think Dark Shadows was that on that year or the year prior, the redone series, which I loved.
The one with Ben Cross.
The one with Ben Cross. I used to watch that. I was into like the gothic vampires, the creepy villain gothic vampire stuff, and then we kind of lost that. But anyway, an hour.
It was like 2004, wasn't it?
What, the Ben Cross show? No.
Yeah, wasn't it?
No, Ben Cross show premiered actually.
No, you were absolutely right. It came out the year after. It came out the year after Dracula.
That's what happened. That's what happened because I lost Dracula, but then I got Dark Shadows. I'm like, okay, cool, this is cool. Then that gets taken off the air. See, kids, you have to understand that back in the old days, things didn't get greenlit for season 2s and 3s like some series nowadays do, like Batwoman. Okay,
yeah.
Back then, you were lucky if you watched anything that was quote unquote escapist or genre. It got yanked off the TV. Like that. Okay, well, you were lucky if it made a full season.
In fairness, it had to be high in the ratings,
yes,
and it had to be pulling a profit.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine having to be a success before you get a second season. None of this, oh, we're losing money and nobody's watching it, but we've already signed up for a third and fourth season because my representation.
I'm suspecting that's what this is all about. But like I remember when the X-Files premiered, I'm like, this is a great show. It's going to last a few episodes, and I didn't realize it was going to become the phenomenon that it did. And when the X-Files took off, that's when TV changed. Okay,
yeah,
that was really the moment, because then television networks started taking more risks, and you started getting better shows. And now we're kind of, I think, at the tail end of that experiment. We're getting all these quote unquote escapist series, but they're not really.
And that's why geezers like us do this kind of reminiscing about some great stuff that we miss, stuff that I don't feel ever got its fair shake. You know, another show this kind of reminds me of is Friday the 13th, the series. Very similar formula, you know.
Oh, that was harder to watch. They had that on Amazon Prime for a while, and I was watching it, but it
dude,
I don't know. It was a weird series.
Dude,
yeah.
I got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Louise Robay.
Oh, the actress, yes. I liked her a lot. That was another one I had a crush on when I was a kid. Yeah.
You and every other guy our age.
Yeah,
wow. And some women.
Was that a Canadian series? That show got away.
Yeah.
That got away with a lot of stuff for regular television. What they put on that show had nothing to do with the movies, by the way. There was no Jason or Hockey Masks.
The thing about Louise Robay in that show, I just felt it must have been Canada because it was like she was always cold.
Now I do want to rewatch it. Okay.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. It was but this Dracula was a Canadian one too. A lot of the kids went on to other things and they just look so familiar. It's like, oh, I know I've seen all these people in other things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the act, and then now that poor actress is on Star Trek Discovery as Spock's dad. Michelle Yeoh is on the Star Trek Discovery, and she was like the leading lady of Hong Kong. So I don't get it. This is where we are in the year 2021, the year of our Lord. You didn't ask me what I was sipping on, by the way.
I was just cracking one, and I was going to ask you what you're sipping on.
I have a Snapple Takes Two to Mango tea, which is very tasty. I recommend it.
Mango, how very clever.
And I have a cap in here, and it gives you a factoid if I can read it.
Yeah, go for it.
Every ton of recycled paper, my mistake. Every ton of recycled paper saves about 17 trees. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I suppose in theory that's true, but how much chlorine does it put into the water?
Hey,
that's what a lot of people.
You know what? Stop with you and your facts. Okay, come on.
Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, I'm drinking a Coke, Cherry Coke Zero.
Okay,
It's a work night, so I gotta be good.
Yeah.
Although I did get 2 new whiskey glasses today, just cause.
Remember having a mini crush on Amy Jo Johnson, who played Kimberly on Power Rangers. Was she on Felicity?
Amy Jo Johnson, mini crush. No, you have a mega crush on Amy Jo Johnson. And it didn't stop after Power Rangers because she's still hot. I mean, she just is.
Was she on Felicity?
I have no idea. All I know is Felicity got her hair cut once and everyone lost their freaking minds.
Yeah, they said the ratings went downhill after that. I continue to watch it. See, that was back when J.J. Abrams was responsible for things I didn't hate. Okay, but those were the old days. Anyway, things change. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Should we get to the news? Do we want to?
Not really, but
okay.
I guess we kind of have to. It's our job.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So should we start out with Disney and the streaming wars?
Start out with Dismal. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Streaming wars update, everybody.
Well, okay, for us geezers, that joke actually makes sense. Yeah. You young kids have no idea what I'm doing.
I don't know. Was that Channel 1 in high school?
No,
that'll be next week. That'll be next week's Reminisce Channel 1. I'm kidding, of course.
Tone for the news, the news.
I remember. I'm not that young. Okay.
Transatlantic.
Not really young at all anymore.
America and all the ships at sea.
I'm just a miserable old man that remembers how good things used to be and doesn't know how long he has to wait for things to get good again, if that will ever happen. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Man, negative tone earlier in this stream. I apologize. Okay.
It just gets worse from here, my friend. Let me tell you.
This is a bad night. I'm going to be honest with you. We started out. This is why we should probably be saving the Remember When stuff for the end, so we're in a better mood when we get off.
This is also why we should be drinking whiskey before we.
I am not in a good mood. I am not in a good mood tonight. I don't think we have anything positive to talk about. This is bad. Okay, Streaming Wars update. This one I have a lot to read from, so I may not read the whole thing. But okay, for years, Disney has been keeping 80% of the revenue from older shows that it distributes to streaming platforms, leaving only 20% to be available to stars and other profit participants. Profit participants. I never heard that. Okay. It does so by classifying the revenue as home video under a formula dating from the introduction of the VCR. Disney subtracts 80% royalty to an in-house distributor to cover the costs of distribution. In 2017, Bill Nye star Bill Nye the Science Guy challenged that practice, calling it yet another example of Hollywood accounting. In a lawsuit in Los Angeles Supreme Court, Nye argued that the actual distribution costs for platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime are minimal, and that Disney is essentially making millions of dollars off the top without justification. But earlier this month, a judge sided with Disney, Judge David Cohen ruled that Nye's 1993 contract allows the studio to continue to classify streaming and download revenue as home video and to continue to take the 80% royalty. Nye's attorney, Raymond Hammock, said that he would appeal.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. So this is what you call creative accountancy. You know, this is what I've been saying for a long time. Remember, I what is my regular mantra? Own physical media. Well, now they're redefining what home media is. So it's no longer physical media. Now Disney is calling what you stream on their channel home media. You don't own it anymore. If you subscribe to Disney, you can watch it. But if they decide to pull it or to change it or whatever, you no longer get it, even though you paid for it. You go spend $30 to see Mulan, and it'll be there for as long as they choose, and then they'll take it away. And congratulations, you own nothing.
Well, apparently you don't get paid anything either. That's what this is. I'm telling you, they're trying to stick it into the category. This is a quote from the attorney. They're trying to stick it into the category that will allow them to keep the most amount of money while ignoring why they were entitled to get that to begin with. It doesn't make sense at all. Managing partner of Johnson & Johnson said, home video is not the same as streaming. They're not even close. Well, apparently that judge thought they were close. I wonder if the judge got paid off. I don't know.
You know, this is my biggest problem with all of these tech rulings. We've got judges. Look, they're judges. I understand they need to understand the law, but they also need to understand the subject that's put before them. They need to take the time to do the frickin' work. Understand what you're ruling on. And if you can't manage to do that, you say, you know what? I need to remand this to another court because I'm just not frickin' intelligent enough to figure this stuff out. Seriously. I mean, you're making law here. You're making decisions that are going to affect, you know, whole industries. You need to make an informed decision. You know, this is people's businesses, people's lives that you're messing with.
You're thinking this is some old judge on the bench that basically said, I don't understand this internet stuff. Sounds like home video to me.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know, but what it also comes down to is the hashtag I just shared in the stream, hashtag Disney must pay. And I'm referring specifically to the hashtag Foster versus Disney, where they're not paying their authors. And Alan Dean Foster needs to pay his freaking medical bills because he's fighting cancer, but he can't get his money for Splinter of the Mind's Eye and the other stuff that he's written for Lucasfilm and Disney.
I'm noticing a pattern here at Disney, and Horizon Talker brings up, on the one hand, that's terrible. On the other hand, there is no good guy between Bill and Disney. And yeah, I get how some of you in the chat probably are not big fans of Bill Nye. I understand that. But the point is that anyway, you know, it doesn't matter. It matters is he's probably owed a lot more in royalties than what he's getting from Disney. Yeah. Except that they're I'm telling you,
we need to be intellectually honest. I mean, back in the green room, we were talking about somebody who is, you know, someone that I don't generally like and don't generally agree with, but he is starting to realize that the world has gone so far left that even he can't tolerate it. And so he and I are starting to agree more and more on things. You start to find common enemies when a bigger evil comes along. And I'm sad to say that that's Disney.
Yeah. And we're there.
And Lister, I would say don't just, definitely keep doing that. Buy the physical copies of the things you love. If it is not obtainable, if it is not released on DVD, because I see from this article, I see it Disney going that way. They're going to stop releasing DVDs. You're going to have to stream it, and you're going to have to make your own DVD.
I'm wondering, because, like, let's take, for instance, the Tom Hanks movie Greyhound. I mean, that's like the big thing on Apple TV Plus. It's also like the only thing on Apple TV Plus. Well, that and some Peanuts cartoons. But, like, When is that thing going to come to DVD and Blu-ray? Why would Apple want that coming out when it's the big draw for getting people to subscribe to their little service? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when that day is going to come when they stop releasing stuff. But like, even with, we've had it already, man, you know, that Mandalorian series, nowhere in sight for a DVD release.
Yeah.
Even with Netflix, with their shows, you will not get a Stranger Things season 3 on DVD or Blu-ray till the season 4 premieres, because they want you subscribing to their network. Okay.
Right.
I wonder if someday we will see them trying to get rid of Blu-ray and DVD. Blu-ray players, I have to tell you, they were in trouble because like a lot of the companies, I don't even know if they released any new models this past year or whatever, but then the beer bug happened. Then suddenly the sale of Blu-ray players and Blu-rays skyrocketed. So I'm hoping that's saving that market, because I mean, because for a while it was starting to turn into a niche market, and I'll be talking more about what that niche market is on Mr. Matchstick stream on Tuesday. But you know, I worry though that at least the big studios may think, well, do we really need to be doing these Blu-ray releases when we try to kind of want to get people to subscribe to our services? You know?
Well, I would say, you know, when it comes to things like, I mean, I have a hard time even finding the Netflix Marvel series, you know, for the US. The UK DVDs are easy to find, but it's hard to find them for the US in any quantity.
I'm curious. Are you talking like if you want to go
like Jessica Jones and
Daredevil,
Iron Man and Power Fist, or Iron Fist and Power Man, whatever their names were.
Iron Fist and Luke Cage, who maybe that was his name. Power Man might have been his name in the comics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. But yeah, anyway, but no, I'm wondering, because I know that they did put Daredevil on home video, but I'm wondering too. I'm going to tell you, I was on Best Buy the other day, and I've tried looking at Amazon. It's getting harder and harder to find DVDs that you want. One thing I notice on Best Buy lately is I find a DVD I want and it says sold out.
Yep.
That's nice, Best Buy, that it's sold out. Can I still order it? And then when you get it back in stock, you send it to me. It just says sold out.
Yep.
I'm seriously, I don't know what's going on.
I honestly think that it's, I don't think they know either. What's happening is they're a distributor and they want to sell it. They can't get it. And I think what's happening is there's very limited quantities of these things going out. There may be some legal reason that they have to put out something on DVD, but they don't want to. So they put out the minimum amount and then they quash it. And if you want to see it, you got to subscribe to their service. And you watch. There's going to come a day when the contracts are up and they're going to say, you know what? We're not putting them on DVD anymore. We're done. You want to watch, you know, whatever, WandaVision, you're going to have to subscribe in order to see it.
I see no sign of Disney putting any of these series, these original series, out on Blu-ray or DVD. I get, you know, they're releasing The Mandalorian season 1 as a book, so you can read the book. It's like the old Doctor Who episodes. You'd get to watch the show once, and then if you wanted to see it again, tough luck. At least in Britain,
unless you happen to have it sitting resident on your hard drive, and you just happen to press it to DVD yourself.
Well, I'm talking about in the old days. In the old days in England, they would only show Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And that's
all of those lost episodes, because they didn't even have them anymore to re-show. A buddy of mine literally collected every single one of the novelizations. Like
Neil Gaiman made a point that
Gaiman,
sorry. Okay. Neil Gaiman made a point that
I'm sorry, I don't normally correct people except on people's names.
You can correct me on that. Okay. I've heard it said both ways. That's why I get confused.
Well, I've heard him say only one way.
Well, okay, smarty pants. I read Coraline. Okay, that's a couple short stories.
Gives you the permission to mispronounce.
Whatever, leave me alone. Okay, I'm tired.
I'm sorry, it was a bad week.
Hard time. I stream anyway. Let's move on. Let's move on. I don't care about the Doctor Who novels. Let's move on to the next story. Okay.
If you want, it's your show.
Yeah, it's my show. I said, you know what? I'm not. When I say that, I'm not really asking. I'm saying we're just doing it. Okay.
Oh,
Disney, okay. Disney Plus warns of offensive content featured in some episodes of The Muppet Show.
I'm sorry. I couldn't even bring myself to read the article.
That's okay. I can read it for you.
Oh, gosh. Just give me the highlights. What do they find offensive?
there were 2? Okay. At 5 seasons of the Muppet Show, all 5 seasons of the Muppet Show arrived on Disney Plus this past Friday, and depending on which episode you're streaming, you may receive a content disclaimer warning of potentially offensive material featured in the episode. Disney included a content warning for 18 episodes of the comedy show. Jeez. The disclaimer, as pictured below, has been added to some episodes, warning viewers that the episode feature may include negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. Despite the controversial material some episodes contain, Disney decided to leave these episodes to acknowledge the offensive content's harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together.
So, any examples?
They made a point. The Johnny Cash did a singing number on there once, and there was a Confederate flag in the background.
Oh, crying out loud.
And maybe there was a guy pretending to be a Chinese man who wasn't Chinese or something. That might have happened in an episode or something like that. I don't know. Okay, that was like the big one, and yeah, it's
see, it's funny because the one thing that I could think of that I always thought from the Muppet Show that deserved before there even was trigger warnings, I thought was, you know, a little close to the edge for me. My mother used to talk about this too. How is it okay for Miss Piggy to go around and beat the crap out of Kermit and everyone else? That's abusive. You know?
And you know, the Swedish chef, you know, that's insulting to Swedish people. I'm telling you, every episode. All we need is one Swedish person to complain, and they'll put a warning on every episode, right?
I was watching Tim Pool the other day, and I'm not getting off topic, really. This is related. And he had, and I don't know who the gentleman was, but he's of Latin descent, and he said, "Can we please stop this stupid Latinx thing?" And then, of course, for one of the people in the studio, he had to explain what it was. Because of the way Romance languages work, they are by necessity, they have gender in their words, you know. So a term like Latino refers to a group of people of Latin descent, usually male, but it could mean male and female. But if they say Latina or Latinas, that's women. Okay, it's the ending it you know, of the word. It's just the way the language works. And a bunch of Anglos decided, well, this isn't right. We're going to start referring to them as Latinx because we don't want to gender people. And they're like, it's our language. You don't get to do that, you know? And so what he was basically getting at was this whole idea about being offended on behalf of someone else. If you're not Latino, shut the fuck up, you know? Well, and I feel the same way. Are there a bunch of Swedish people that are really upset about the Swedish chef? Ironically, there is actually an episode with the Swedish chef. It was the episode that Gene Stapleton was a guest on.
Oh.
And he comes out talking his mock Swedish, and she turns to him and starts talking back to him. And Sam the Eagle says, "You understand him?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I took 4 years correspondence course in mock Swedish. I understand it fluently." And he goes, "Mock Swedish? You are not even speaking. I insist that from now on you speak in your native tongue." And what does he do? He looks, he goes, "Ah, so." And then he starts and he goes, "What did he say?" "I don't know. I don't speak mock Japanese."
Oh, no. Okay.
See, yeah, so that one would probably be one of the ones that has a trigger warning.
That would probably have a trigger warning on it. They, because, you know, that Jim Henson, you know, a real bad man, you know. I'm sorry. I think of Jim Henson. I think kind of a hippie-ish guy, you know.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, and there's other, you know, and I saw.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. He's if he's
big supporter of public television. I
exactly. Mean, he comes from that era that if he comes from the era before people were talking about their politics publicly.
Yeah.
Right. He'd keep it to himself, and he was a little bit classier than that. But I suspect that if I was to have a beer, well, I'd have a beer and probably he'd have a tea or something like that, and we were to talk about politics, he'd probably be far farther left than I am. Right. But you know what? Now he's villainized. Because
well, he may have been farther left than you are, but he wouldn't try to end your, destroy your life over having a different, a different politics.
I'm sorry,
so that was the difference.
Somebody who puts out a movie with the Rainbow Connection in it would not be, trying to cancel people today.
It's not a hateful man, no.
Yeah,
and he was a great artist, and I loved his Muppet. I loved the Muppet movie as a classic favorite of mine. A big fan of Dark Crystal and Labyrinth too, and just I grew up watching Sesame Street, so these are all good shows. And Muppet Show was something I always wanted to watch, but I think it was a little before my time, and I would catch it here and there, and I would try to catch it when I could.
I watched every single episode multiple times, even when it was in syndication.
Like didn't they do a Star Wars episode where Mark Hamill guest starred, and
where he plays the double role of Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill?
Well, that's what you do when you get an actor on your show. You have him be the actor, and then you have him be that. And I do catch the musical numbers. There's a wonderful when Blondie was on. That was awesome. That was and just they would get great guests on that show. And
Linda Carter singing Rubber Band Man.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to look for that after the show now. Okay.
Absolutely. Because the shtick was she's getting ready to do her musical number, and Dr. Teeth is like, "Oh, do you need me to get the band together?" And she says, No, that's okay. I brought my own. You brought your own band? She said, "Yeah." And she holds up a rubber band. She goes, "Rubber band," and then she goes out and sings Rubber Band Man.
Oh, I need to watch that now. Yeah. Linda Carter is another class act.
Christopher Reeve was also.
He was?
Yes.
Oh man, I wish
with Miss Piggy like drooling all over him and everything. Yeah,
I wish they could have done. I mean, they always talk about just even like the Linda Carter Wonder Woman meeting the Christopher Superman in the 70s.
Yeah.
That
would have been.
Did
a what do you call Photoshop of the two scenes? Because they always started out the show with the guest in their dressing room. So there is a setup of, kind of a composite of Kermit. I think it was Kermit and Miss Piggy in the dressing room with Christopher Reeve and Linda Carter. And somebody posted on one of the social medias, and everyone was like, "Oh, was this a real episode? They were together and I miss it." I'm like, no, it's not real. It's a composite picture. That's just wishful thinking. That would have been awesome.
That would have been cool, like a promotion for the Superman movie. He guest stars on an episode of Wonder Woman, and that would have been so like a two-parter, and John Saxon as the villain or something. I don't know.
Probably back in those days. That's how it would have.
I think he guest starred as a member of a certain German socialist group.
But you also have to remember that was back in the days where DC characters. Warner Brothers did not allow their peas and carrots to touch. So there would never be a crossover because they always wanted to keep everything separate for whatever reason.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I did not know that, Daniel Herron.
Okay.
I didn't know he was a Christian. That's great.
They didn't allow medicine. Okay. In that group. Yeah. Okay.
So what? Maybe a Jehovah's Witness or maybe Christian Scientist. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I didn't, but see, you wouldn't know that, right? Because again, he comes from this era where people just didn't really talk.
You didn't advertise it. We're all Americans. That was the thing back then. We all have different religions. We may not agree on everything politically, but we are at the end of the day all Americans. We come from different backgrounds. We're all Americans. That was the old days. Now it's everyone's attacking each other.
See, I don't read it that way, Wolfie. He says Kermit was a masochist. No, I just think he had Stockholm syndrome. He was afraid of her.
I don't know. I didn't catch the redo series they did, the TV series. But I did.
From what I heard from it, I did not want any part of that.
I did like some of the promotion though, that there was another pig that and he's on social media said we're just friends, and she almost looked like she was like a younger, sexier version of Miss Piggy, and it was I don't know, but anyway, never mind. She had like a southern accent too, and it was I don't know, but I didn't watch the show, but I heard it was mixed though, but I did like that idea of like Miss Piggy having competition, but anyway, but never mind. But yeah, the Muppet Show is problematic. If you want to watch on Disney Plus, they're going to yell at you for doing it. Okay, so
yeah,
exactly.
That's
what I see. All these warnings of like they're yelling at you. I just want to watch the Muppet Show. Leave me alone.
Don't preach at me. You know
what happened? I don't understand. When's the Muppet Show? It's the Muppet Show
with our very special guest star. Yeah, exactly.
I'm terrified. What is the electric company going to get a warning on it next? I mean, I don't know anymore. It's like everything.
Gosh, now you got me thinking. Is there anything in the electric company that people could find?
Who knows? That's the thing. I think there's anything in the Muppet Show. Oh,
man. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah. So again, I think rounding out our streaming wars, we've been predicting this. We've been seeing it happening already, and now Paramount and some other ones are deciding they're just going to release all their stuff on stream, just as we predicted.
Yeah, this is interesting because now, as we know, CBS All Access is to become Paramount Plus, I believe, right?
Yep.
Okay, and this is interesting. There's some the next 2 Mission Impossible movies, they say, will be 45 minutes after movie theaters. Okay. It's not 45 minutes. 45 days. There's a difference there. Okay. That's the Warner Brothers model. Okay. Yeah. 45 minutes.
So you got 45 days to see something in theaters before you can see it on streaming service. And I'm predicting it's not going to be coming to DVD 45 days after that.
I have to say, Mission Impossible, I'm a fan of those movies. I do like those movies. Those movies.
Want to see Mission Impossible 7?
I will watch Mission Impossible 7 because the other 6 I've enjoyed. They are good spy movies. They are kind of what I wish the Bond movies were currently. Okay, because
are you looking forward to A Quiet Place 2?
I like the first one, and maybe the second one's good too. You know
Did
what?
Everyone end up dying at the end of Quiet Place?
Only one. Not to spoil things. One of the characters dies, and then
does that free him up to play Reed Richards? Is that Just saying.
I mean, they can probably do both. I think it was for dramatic effect. I don't know. I don't think they can bring him back. I don't know. I'm not going to spoil The Quiet Place for if you ever decide
Maybe
to
he can come back if he's really, really quiet.
That's the whole point of the movie is if you make a sound. That's the one thing I want them to flesh out in this, especially since part of the movie I think takes place beforehand. Please explain what these things are and where they came from. I know, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Okay. Please do that. That was the big thing in that limited series Project Greenlight, where they were season 3, where they were making a horror movie, and people, we want to know what we have to put in a plot line, like maybe this is a ancient American Indian legend about these monsters. As listen, people don't. And the producer said no one cares where the monsters come from or whatever. Don't put that in there. And of course, when they did the test screening, what were people complaining about? Where did the monsters come from? What are they? Yeah, that's what people complain about because that's what they want.
Yeah, and see that. What that comes down to is it's unfortunately that is the way that American horror movies are. We have geared our audiences over years of making these movies. We've got to give the backstory. We've got to do the prequel. We got to do all the, explanations in between and flesh out the lore. It's not like, Japanese horror where it's just enough that it is. And, we know what we need to know to survive this movie and no looking back.
Well, that's my point, though. The Quiet Place didn't do that. They didn't go into huge detail where these things came from. I'm saying I personally like that. I like the moments in movies like The Thing where they're doing the experiments.
Who wants to be spoon-fed, right?
I like to have some idea of what this thing, like in the movie The Thing, when they're saying it's imitation. That's not dog. When the guy's going through, I like those parts in horror movies. Okay.
I get what you're saying.
Even in Light of the Living Dead, when they're like, how do we have to shoot him in the head? Okay. These aren't crazy people. These are the dead, unburied dead. When they're talking about what these things are, I like to have some idea.
In a way, it's kind of like you're talking about that scene in From Dusk Till Dawn, where they're like, okay, how do we stop a vampire? Well, we need garlic and we need this. No, wait a minute. Where do you know that from? I'm not talking about what you know from movies. I mean, these real vampires. What do we know about them? And of course, Walking Dead avoids that conceit by, I guess there never were zombie movies in that world.
Oh, man.
But to give you a reason to have to figure out a priori what these things are and how to stop them and so forth. But what that really comes down to is we're always talking about in Storycraft, and that's fleshing out your lore, you know?
Yeah.
What, you know, because, you know, we've been talking about vampires recently, and even as Nanette and I were rewatching that Dracula, she's like, wait, he can go out in the daylight? And I'm like, yeah, they're not going from, you know, some of these later Draculas. They're going with like the original Bela Lugosi, even more importantly, the original Bram Stoker novel. Dracula could walk around in the sunlight. He just didn't have all of his powers then. He was weak.
Yeah, if you read Carmela's the same time, like she would be kind of like faint, you know, like I have the vapor sort of thing, like during the day, okay, but you know, at night that's when she would get powerful, okay, and
you got to flesh those kinds of things out in these kind of movies. I think A Quiet Place sounds like, you know, that's the same kind of thing.
Point is, though, I still like The Quiet Place. I think it's a decent horror movie, and I would like more. I mean, I don't want to spoil the movie when you go to see it. It was good, okay, and as I say, good is good enough sometime, okay. But 45 days. Paramount will look to 30 days for most titles and 45 days for tentpoles. So like Quiet Place 2 and Mission Impossible 7. Some movies are going to go straight to the service. A new Beavis and Butthead movie? Yes, please.
She said crack.
Oh, man, those were the boys. Okay, a Workaholics movie with the original cast. I'm not sure what that is.
I have no idea.
Is that a television show? I don't know. A new Paranormal Activity movie. And a new Pet Cemetery movie will forgo theaters.
Oh, come on, again? This is what, the 25th remake?
I saw the remake in the theater, and I did not like it.
The first movie wasn't that good. Actually, the book wasn't all that good. It's not one of Stephen King's best books.
I will say for the first movie, I saw it when I was in the 6th grade, and it scared the bejesus out of me, okay?
I made the mistake of reading the book first. So when I finally saw the movie, some of it, Fred Gwynn's character, the sister with spinal meningitis was exactly the way I pictured it from the book. That was creepy. But Gage, the kid, terrible. And that ending, the ending was so not overt. It was very, you're left at the end not sure what happened. You know, does he get killed? Did she come back wrong? Was he right? You know, by burying her right away, she comes back okay. They leave it open-ended, whereas the movie just kills any ambiguity, and it's like, oh, come on, this is just dumb. It's not even scary.
Well, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I'll have to read the book one of these days. But
you should. I mean, like I said, it wasn't one of his best, but still pretty good.
I've read some Stephen King, not a ton. I read Carrie, which was ooh, that's a dark novel. That's his first one too. Horizon Talks says many Japanese horror stories are built on pre-existing legends that the movie makes expect their audience to be familiar with. That's true.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff in Japan, a lot of those horror movies, they are based on old Japanese ghost stories and legends and stuff. So,
well, that's another difference that Japan has over us. They have a long, continuous history of culture that they actually pass down through the generations. Over here, we only have 200 years of history, and people never bother to learn it and are now trying to frickin' erase it.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing, we have like some urban legends that people know about, like the Vanishing Hitchhiker, but you know, it's just
Bloody Mary and whatnot.
Let's be honest. I mentioned half the ghosts. People don't know what they are. They'll never hear of the ghost of Aaron Burr and all this other stuff, you know. But anyway,
or even the ghost of Raymond Burr. I'm sorry. Another geezer joke.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I saw the remake. It was decent. Remake of what? Okay, never mind. I forgot what I was talking about.
Oh, he may have been talking about Pet Cemetery, but for crying out loud, stop.
No.
We know the story already. We don't need any more.
I didn't care for it, but again, it wasn't so much. They wanted it's the daughter that gets brought back in the remake instead of Gage. That was the big twist. Okay, and it's
for crying out loud.
Well, they did it, I think, just because we have to do something different.
I just don't make if you want to do something different, make a different Stephen King novel that's never been turned into a movie.
They made all of them.
No.
Okay.
No, he's written so many books, not to mention the books that he's done under his pen name. I can't remember.
I didn't see the movie version of Cell. I did read the book, and I really liked Cell. I thought that was a decent
one with,
John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson was in the movie. But the book Cell, that was about that was almost his take on the zombie genre.
Interesting.
And I thought it was really neat how he did that. Because Steve, I like my zombies kind of smart, or at least smarter than what we see on The Walking Dead, and he figured out a way to do it in that book, and that was a decent horror book. I would recommend it. But
I mean, there's just so many books that he's done that were, I think, way better than the things they keep turning into movies. I don't really know why. I don't know.
Oh, this is a terrifying statement. Lay Plus Size says, I think Troy has a point. I wonder how much longer you can buy a DVD or Blu-ray player. I know the worry in your voice, but technically you can still buy CD players. Okay.
Oh, you do not have to worry about that, because at least for the time being, even when they stop putting out standalone DVD and Blu-ray players, you're still going to need them for your computers, and you're going to have DVD and Blu-ray writers so that you can write your own. So that's what I'm encouraging people to do.
That is a terrifying point of view, but I don't think we're there, at least not now. Because like I said, the CD lasts, you can still buy CDs and the CDs still work, but knock on wood, I don't want to be jinxing myself by even saying this. Because I notice a lot of the new game consoles, they used to, like PlayStation 3 comes out. It's also a Blu-ray player. Don't you want to buy it because it's a Blu-ray player? PlayStation 4 comes out. Okay, there's a Blu-ray. You can play Blu-rays. I think you have to download some software for it to play. It's free software. Don't worry. You can play your Blu-ray on it. And now they're coming out with versions of these consoles that don't even have the drives in them, and they're all digital versions. And I'm wondering, because they were like the big ones pushing Blu-ray, and now it's almost like Sony is moving away. But like I said, I do think we have some good news in the fact that the sales of Blu-ray players were up this last year. So that might encourage companies, hey, there's really still a market for Blu-ray. So let's knock on wood and hope that the Blu-ray player is still with us for years to come. Plus, were they pushing 4K Blu-ray too? Wasn't that the big thing now? So I don't think they want to get rid of those. They'll still work on an old TV, or they'll still play the old Blu-rays on the 4K player. So
on Tuesday, you're going to be talking a whole lot more about this medium and why you're so fired up about it. So make sure you tune into Mr. Matchstick's channel on Tuesday night.
So are we looking forward to Paramount Plus, Troy?
Oh, I won't be subscribing. If there is, and so far nothing we've talked about is even worth the bandwidth to me. But
these movies do. These movies
on that Stephen King, I think they should actually get off of Stephen King altogether and move over to John Saul.
Yeah, there are other horror writers out there.
Books that need to be turned into movies, and I recommend they should do a series of movies based on the Blackstone Chronicles.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read them, but I've heard good things, and I think it's time to turn to another writer maybe at this point. I am going to say that at least with this Pet Sematary movie, what I read, it was supposed to be a prequel about like the origins. So maybe this would be when the Fred Gwynn character is younger. Like when the events he saw. I still don't know if that's a good idea. Probably not.
Stop with the prequel.
Okay, but
please, just stop.
Okay, well, we have you sold, don't we? Okay.
Oh, gosh, really?
Or seriously? Philip K. Dick. I have to say, I do love Philip K. Dick. Maybe you're right. In fact, haven't they exhausted Philip K. Dick at this point? I don't know. Like, they even did a Scanner Darkly.
Sorry.
Well, going back to Beavis, but I will watch that Beavis and Butthead movie at some point. That is, I used to call them the boys back in high school. They were my go-to. The boys, yeah, not the show, the boys. Never mind. Anyway, I love Beavis and Butthead. I remember I got in trouble with the principal of my school because I wore a Beavis and Butthead shirt to school one day. I remember that. Wow, the good old days, the 90s. My rebel, yeah. Anyway, I think it was the Christmas shirt too, where they were wearing the Santa Claus hats. Okay, but anyways, moving on. I guess have we squeezed this till the teat ran dry? I think.
Yeah,
okay,
I think so.
Okay,
we beat up on DC Warner Brothers.
No, we're gonna start that now. This is where I'm gonna get angry, and I'm tired too, which is gonna make me crankier.
That
Okay.
means it's going to be a good program.
This is bad, and I'm not even gonna show this image on here. You guys can check it out on your own if you wish.
In the
Okay.
thumbnail, if you guys care about it.
Yeah, oh man. Okay. Jared Leto's Joker mimics Jesus Christ and Zack Snyder's Justice League image. And I have to say, you were talking about how Wonder Woman 84 was insulting Muslims, right?
Yeah.
And now it looks like the Snyder Cut's going to insult Christians,
Guys,
because they have to find someone to go after.
We are constantly talking about, you know, what these loony leftists, social justice warrior, cancel culture are all about, and they've got to destroy every possible, you know, bastion of anything that's decent in this world. They're going to get rid of the nuclear family. They're going to get rid of any sense of everything. They're going to just break down everything, and they're absolutely 100% going against religion, because the new religion now is the science that they tell you is settled science, and you must believe. Hallelujah.
Yeah, let me read to you from the article. Okay, Jared Leto's Joker does a Jesus Christ pose in a new image from Zack Snyder's Justice League. And at first, when I saw this, okay, people are probably reading into this. Okay, it's probably not. No, he's got the crown of thorns and everything.
Yep.
After replacement Helmer, Josh Whedon's cut of DC's highly anticipated superhero team-up film failed to satisfy fans of dark and gritty comic book movies. I'm not even liking this article I'm reading from. Okay, blah, blah. As part of Vanity Fair's comprehensive news article breaking down the tortured history of the Snyder Cut, fans have been given another look at Leto's Justice League Joker, and there's a definite biblical quality to the latest image, which can be seen in the space below, which you can see in the thumbnail or check out in your own.
Not even subtle. They're trying to say that Zack Snyder, the Snyder Cut, Jared Leto, they're the saviors of the DC expanded universe.
Stupid.
Yep.
I really don't like when they do this. Okay. The new image, of course, adds an important touch to Joker's relatively toned down look, giving him a crown of thorns familiar. You know, no one's accepting the Jared Leto Joker anyway.
Yeah.
And this isn't helping, okay? From hundreds of years over I don't like this art. This was a Vanity Fair. I should have picked a different art. I'm not liking this writer. Okay. What this image is meant to say about the Joker is anyone's guess, though, of course, it's already been teased that Joker and Batman are on the same side in this new version of Justice League. So perhaps the Jesus parallel is meant to suggest the clown prince of crime becomes a kind of savior in the Snyder Cut.
Exactly.
Or
that
actually
just tells you how upside down this whole thing is.
I really am not liking Warner Brothers lately. I'm see, that's the thing. We don't like Disney, but like Warner Brothers is like hold my beer, okay?
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers goes about things differently. Like I don't think Disney would do something like this. They'll do other horrible things, and I'm not going to try and cut them slack. But like this is just sleazy. Everything about the whole Snyderverse is sleazy. These are sleazy films. I don't like this. I don't get what's going on with Zack Snyder too. I was trying to figure out what religion he is. I know he was married in an Episcopal church. Is he a Christian? Is he not a Christian? I don't know. I don't know why he's doing this. Okay, and maybe I'm taking this out of. No, I'm not going to take. There's nothing taking this out of context. Okay. This is what it is, and it's just,
no, but I do think you are putting more thought into it than they did. That's the problem.
It's just meant to be offensive. Well, it's the Joker. He's supposed to be Stop it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I talk like somebody else now. Okay, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to this.
The same studio that was publicizing how Jared Leto sent used condoms to his co-workers, you know, when he was filming. Look, see how crazy and edgy he is, because he's such a method actor, and that did not go over well with anybody. They said he's just a gross jerk, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and this was the stories from the set, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard stuff about that. Yeah.
You know?
Troy Sooner says we have not lost pop culture yet. PaPa Pacelli, we are not going to lose pop culture. Not to SJWs. Not while we're here. Mic drop. What do you say to that?
You know, I hope you're right, Schooner Tuna, but I feel like if we're intellectually honest, we have to realize that those of us here in the stream, we're kind of in our our own version of a you know, echo chamber. We are the minority. We are the last bastion. And it's bigger than just, you know, the 17 people watching. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody that's in Comicsgate, everybody that's in the Fandom Menace, you know, everybody that follows Geeks and Gamers and Nerdrotic and you know, all hail Doomcock, you know, the future ruler of Earth, you know, but we are the minority. Actually, I take that back. We probably are the majority, but the people who have the mic, the people that have the bully pulpit, are the very, very boisterous minority of sicko, wacky leftists that are just pulling down all the statues and all of the pop culture that we've ever loved. And it's just being destroyed around us, and we're just sitting here watching it happen because there's nothing we can do about it.
Otter Dread says if they tried that with the they would be getting a lot of problems. Okay, yeah, with the Prophet Muhammad, yeah, it's Snyder being an edgelord. Yeah, I mean, well, you know, you don't take these religious figures and do this is just.
Well, this is the same thing I say to the dingbats that go around promoting the whole what's it called, flying spaghetti monster. You know, they don't believe this. They're just doing it to be asses. You know, they're just being asses, you know? And well, it's like, look, I understand you don't believe in religion. That's fine. You know, you don't have to proselytize it because you're basically doing the same thing you don't like religious people doing, proselytizing.
Yeah, I know. It's just, well, I don't even know how much more stamina that movement has in it. Cause let's be honest with you, it was that movement where the SJWs first got the ground.
Yeah.
First took the ground. It was through them. That's where they seeped in.
The only solace that I take is that I know that ultimately and eventually these kinds of people eat their own. They turn on each other.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what the old expression, like we were watching Castle of Cagliostro, one of my favorite anime films, and there's a line at the end where the guy says evil destroys itself. Okay, yeah. Eventually when there's no good yet left, that goes back to even, not to bring up Star Wars. Well, of course we will be talking about Star Wars tonight, but like the Sith would eventually turn on each other, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
no, but there's a reason for that because it's true. I mean, it's based on reality. I mean, look at the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. You know, it had to happen eventually, and now everybody's turning on each other and pointing, and you know, that's actually going to take us right into our next article about Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Owen Lister. You can find videos of it. It's something that a lot of new atheists would go around you. I'm promoting the flying spaghetti monster god. And that's what I believe in. And of course, that's ridiculous. You think that's ridiculous? Well, so something you believe that's ridiculous too. Blah blah. That's the sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, they're just trying to mock religion in general.
Yeah.
Really? Owen Lister, you've never heard of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
No, he never heard of it. But to be fair, that was a thing. He's younger, and that was a thing that was bigger. What, 5-10 years ago? I remember that was a big thing. Yeah, and I don't know if they're still doing that. I don't know what they're still doing in that community because, like I said, they were the ground zero for the SJW infestation. They started with the New Atheist movement. They wanted to be about atheism plus, and they started pushing all this other stuff. And then they filtered out elsewhere. They went into tabletop gaming. They went into science fiction and fantasy writing.
Yeah.
They went with video games. That's where they first started getting pushback. Well, it's a whole other story, but anyway, but this goes beyond even that. This is just sleazy. That's all it is. I don't know. This is to get articles written that they're going to shoot a couple scenes with the stupid Jared Leto Joker that no one cares about. Okay.
Have they even put out this Snyder cut yet, or is it still just more? It's
coming in a couple weeks. Coming in a couple weeks, I think. It's supposed to be coming in March. Okay. And I did see a commercial for it when I watched the Superman and Lois show. It had a couple extra scenes. I saw a little bit of the Jared Leto Joker. He wasn't in the Jesus Christ pose though, but it's come on, man. I mean, I'm going to say this too. The whole point of Justice League and Superman and these are supposed to be like family type movies. Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know. These were
know.
characters that originally written. I'm not going to say adults can't enjoy them too, but children were supposed to be able to enjoy these characters.
This is what I had said years ago when they started this dark, gritty movement. I said, you're making movies that the youngest children cannot go see. And the only people that are going to buy the toys are going to be the man children that have to, you know, collect, you know, their whatevers, and that's fine, but they're going to grow, they're going to get older, they're going to die off, they're not going to pass it on to anybody. The next generation is going to be into something completely other because they didn't grow up on Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, that stuff, because they were too young for this dark gritty, and that's it. That's the end. All gone. You're left holding an empty bag.
Part of the reason I got into Superman, and my dad, he was silent generation. He wasn't even a baby boomer, but he grew up with Superman. He would read the comic books. He would listen to the radio show. He loved the radio show. And I got into Superman, you know, with the Christopher Reeve movie and later the cartoons that they made. And, you know, it was something we had in common. It was like a father-son thing. You know, we both liked Superman. He was our favorite superhero, you know.
Gosh, just thinking about the opening of the George Reeve Adventures of Superman.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a difference between, we were talking about the opening for Dracula with the goofy blinded me with science music, but that rolling harp at the beginning of the Adventures of Superman, and then, you know, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Yes, Superman, strange visitor from another planet, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who could change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. Gosh, if that doesn't just put goosebumps on the back of your neck, tell me somebody who honestly gets that excited about anything Zack Snyder's done.
No, I don't get excited for anything DC related. It's almost like I'm telling you, I almost think, how are they going to mess this up? Like, because everything has to be.
That's why I was wondering if this had come out yet, because I want them to put it out so that people can say, you know, yeah, we waited all this time for this.
I'm not paying to see it, and I don't even want to watch it for free. Yeah. I have no interest in this movie. I didn't before, and I certainly don't now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not even going to say that, like, here's the next article, too. Warner Executives confesses what everyone at the studio really thought of Joss Whedon's Justice League. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you were lying to us all along. Well, big surprise there. Okay.
Well, they're throwing them under the bus is what they're doing. They're going, oh, we've already admitted that, you know, it didn't do that well, and that's why we're going to put out this alternate cut that everyone's asking for. And so let's just throw it at the feet of Joss Whedon.
I had issues with some issues with Josh Whedon, but not everything he does is bad. There were some okay lines and I know these were Whedon lines in the Justice League cut, like when the Flash asks Bruce Wayne, well, what's your superpower? And he goes, I'm rich. I'm sorry, that's a funny line, okay? Maybe you don't like that.
It's a funny line, and that's great for a parody or a Saturday Night Live sketch. Does not belong in an actual Batman movie.
Well, my point is that it at least added a little bit of levity to everything having to be dark in this movie.
Well, okay? Yeah, and that kind of goes to the idea of the director that comes in the middle of something, you know, and has to finish up. I mean, it's no different than all the Star Wars movies. Well, what's his name? Ronnie Howard, you know, taking over on the what was it? Solo movie or whatever.
Like Ron Howard's a good director. I mean, but again,
you don't blame him for the fact that Solo lost money. You know, there was a whole crap load of BS that happened before he got there, and he just, you know, did the best he could with the lemons he was handed.
Well, they're in particular yelling, I guess, about stuff that Whedon added in a recent Vanity Fair piece featuring insight into Justice League's troubled production interview with the film's original director, Zack Snyder. The outlet also spoke to an unnamed studio exec who described Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns' theatrical cut as awful and pointless. We got to see what Joss actually did. It was stupefying, said the studio executive. The robber on the rooftop, so goofy and awful. The Russian family, so useless and pointless. Well, I'm going to say this about the Russian family. One, I kind of like the fact that, oh, it was a Russian family and they weren't the villains in the movie for once. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, it maybe it looked a little weird and out of place. But, you know, the point is I don't know. At least they saved a family. I don't know.
Well, it's the same problem you have with, you know, the Mankiewicz cut of Superman 2. I would argue next week's rewatch on Nanette's channel when we do AI, you're also going to see some issues there. When you have someone start a movie and someone else finish it, it's like two completely different movies mashed together. Anytime you have that, you're going to have a problem. And I think that is exactly what happened with this Snyder cut. But I don't think a pure Snyder cut is going to be any better. It may actually even be worse.
Oh, I think it's going to be worse. I have a bad. I'm just based on what we were just talking about.
But it's easy to make Joss Whedon the scapegoat because let's face it, he's out in Hollywood. He's.
Oh, it's easy. Well, it's easy to throw him under the bus because now everyone's turned on.
Did you catch that in my thumbnail too? Joss Whedon under the bus.
Yes, that was a funny little. You guys should check out the thumbnail. It's a funny little. If you haven't already, it's a funny little picture. Just
yeah.
I don't know.
I had a little bit of fun with that. I was like, oh, this is just too easy.
But you know, the shows I grew up with, the Hulk, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, Chris Reeve, Superman, were made for adults and kids.
Yeah,
it did not dumb down for us kids back in the day. Yeah, I would even argue the Superman cartoon. Someone else was mentioning that basically that what children's cartoon, but adults could enjoy it too. Okay,
yeah. And you know, Superman to some extent, but even the Batman animated series, especially. There were some dark stories there, but they weren't so dark that you wouldn't want your kids watching them, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're talking dark, like some things in like The Secret of Nim and The Dark Crystal and, you know, stuff like that, you know? I mean, it's a little dark, but, you know, okay for kids.
Yeah, like there was Superman the animated series. I remember there was that one episode when Poison Ivy had a family, and then it turns out the two sons, like she married this guy and he had two sons, and Chris and Kelly, and then Robin says, but no, Chris and Kelly are staying with because he was a divorcee. They're staying with the mom and their girls. Well, then who are these kids? And it turns out they were plant creatures that Poison Ivy invented, and like she drugged the guy to make him.
Wow.
She was like trying to start a fake family, and this poor guy was. It was very creepy. It was very creepy.
It sounds a lot like some of the themes in WandaVision right now. Yeah. And you know, the point is that there are always elements of horror in Batman, but you know, order gets restored and things are okay at the end usually. Yeah.
Except, well, not actually on Batman. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean.
But anyway, the shows but I don't know. They're throwing Whedon under the bus, and you know I've had my own issues with Whedon over the years, but they're just doing this because it's a wounded. It's one of their wounded now. They can all go and attack him now. Okay,
exactly.
where they were too afraid to do it before.
No, I told you they turn on their own.
Yeah, and and I'm going to tell you, I know the Whedon cut is probably going to end up being better, and I didn't mind seeing Wonder Woman take out. They weren't really bank robbers; they were terrorists. But I'd like to see more of that. You know, superheroes doing super heroic things. That's sort of why I go to superhero movies. I know that's weird.
You almost feel like some of the scenes from these movies you could almost cut out and make better movies from. You know, but not the way they're doing it with the Snyder cut.
How interesting would it be to have like a Wonder movie where it's all like on a timer for like a 24-hour period, and she's trying to kind of like how that Dread movie was done, where she's trying to take out this group of bad guys like in a time period, and like there's a reason why she can't do it. Like maybe they have some super weapon or magic or something against, and basically, I don't know, but that would be an interesting idea. Just do it on a fixed timer, like she has like 2 hours to stop these guys or something.
I think that kind of thing.
Idea.
I think that. Oh, so it's literally 2 hours out,
or maybe, or just or it could be 24 hours. But the point is, it would be on a limited time frame instead of it being just her trying to do the specific thing. That might be something interesting. I don't know, but I'm not a Hollywood guy. What do I know? Okay, but
no, actually, and see, that's that outside the box thinking that doesn't exist enough in Hollywood these days. There was what was that movie? Somebody in the stream is going to say it, and I'm going to slap myself in the head for not being able to remember. There was this movie about a terrorist attack, I think in Italy or something, and somebody goes up on a stage. Someone sets off a bomb under them. A bunch of people are killed, and they keep rewinding, and you see the same amount of time from different vantage point. That's what it was called.
Oh,
from a different vantage point. And there were actually some big name stars in it, like Sigourney Weaver, and I think Dennis Quaid, and I don't remember who else was in it. It was really good. But it played with exactly that. You have a span of time. It would be like if I don't know, the 9/11 attack or something like that. Okay. You are someone who sees it on the news. Okay. You see it, and then you stop after this horrible thing happens, and then you rewind and you see it from the point of view of a reporter. And then you get to that, and then you rewind again, and you see it from a point of view of somebody in the security team. And every time you get a little other piece of information about what's going on, you know?
Can you imagine a Vantage Point Justice League movie with it being taken from different point of views from different Justice League members?
Dude, that's just too good an idea. It could never happen because nobody in Hollywood has the chops to pull something like that off. And even if a writer did come up with that and do it well, it would be completely destroyed by the studios somehow.
You could have Wonder Woman, you could have the Flash, you could have Superman, Batman, or somebody else, and just do different POVs of them dealing with the situation where, like, I don't know, Gorilla Grodd wants to blow up the Sears Tower, I don't know, or something like that. I don't know, you know. Anyway, maybe not that, but anyway, we're talking about. Let's move on, though. Okay, Superman and Lois flies high in CW debuted. This Is Us tops Tuesday ratings. Okay, I don't watch This Is Us, but
this is all on you because I have not watched a CW superhero thing since the first episode of Supergirl.
Okay. I watched it, and I will give you my thoughts because I figured it's repeating on TNT. I get satellite. I'm just going to record it on the DVR and watch it.
Boomer watched it, so we don't have to.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman and Lois. The new CW superhero series flew up and flew away. The 90-minute series debut Tuesday night primetime, with the pilot earning 0.4 in the demo and 1.71 million viewers, marking the largest audience for a DC series since the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover episode of The Flash on December 10th, 2019. It's doing well in the ratings. Do you know what this tells me? This tells me that audiences still want a classic Superman. Okay.
Yep. That's what everybody's been saying that I've heard talk about it. They're basically saying the iconic Superman people still want.
Yeah. Basically, I have my comments here. The word on the street is the pilot was good. Can I trust the CW superhero series will remain good? And I did actually decide to watch it before the because I did these notes earlier, so I decided to watch it for the stream tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Here are my thoughts. They have good casting for Superman and Lois, Taylor Hoechlin, and I don't know who's playing Lois, but both good actors, and they're believable. Lois Lane and Superman. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
No problem with either of them. No problem even with how Superman is portrayed on the show. But I have to tell you, I was getting kind of bored with the pilot. Okay, I was kind of bored. That was actually my first impression.
Was it a 2-hour jobber?
It was a 2-hour, like 90 minutes. Okay, it's set to set up the series, and I guess it's in the Arrowverse. They didn't really mention anything else in the Arrowverse, but I know that character's been on Arrow before, and here was my initial problem with it. Okay, he goes back to Smallville. Smallville's fallen on hard times. Plus, he gets fired from the Daily Planet because oh, I forgot what the guy's name.
Morgan Edge.
Morgan Edge, not I kept thinking Maxwell Lord, but it's not, Morgan Edge. He's buying out he's buying up property in Smallville for something. And one thing I noticed though, even though Superman's kind of the bright spot, the world is still kind of ho-hum and dark. And one of the things I liked about Superman the animated series, or even Smallville, is that because Superman is in the world now, even though there are now dangerous threats out there in the world and scary things, people, I think, are becoming better because Superman is in the world. And that's what I always noticed in the whole thing. And I'm not necessarily seeing that on the series, and that's what bothered me about it. Because, you know, Morgan Edge, you know, we haven't even seen him on the show yet, but I guess he's going to be one of the big bad guys on it. And it's, you know, like the Daily Planet is falling on hard times and Smallville is falling on hard times. And it kind of gave me a sour view of it. He has two sons. One is like a normal, healthy teenager, and he's like athlete type. And the other is like this more emo kid who has like a mental illness, I guess social anxiety disorder. And so I think that's sort of the checklist thing that they're doing there with that. And of course people have that, and I'm fine with having characters on the show, but I'm worried about where they're going to go with that, especially since he's the one who has an attitude, who's one of Clark's kids, you know, sons. And I don't know where they're going to go with that. And I just found myself, it just kind of dragged. The pilot dragged, and I know everybody else was raving about it. And I don't have a problem with either the actors playing Lois Lane or Superman. I just, the show itself, I'm not sold on it yet. I'm really not.
My biggest problem is, you know, a priori, it's going in with the taint of the whole Supergirl, you know, CW universe.
Probably.
So that in and of itself is enough reason for me not to want to bother with it. I have heard some people speculate, and I couldn't say one way or the other. They can't do a crossover with Batman in any way. They can't touch it. They can only do Superman. Therefore, the only way they could go for that Super Sons, vibe would be to just give Clark two sons for them to play off of each other that way. So I think that's what they're going for.
I'm terrified something's going to go wrong with the Suns.
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee you, my prediction right now, one of them's going to turn out to be gay.
Well, I don't know if that's what's going to happen, because I think they're going with the whole instead of that, because we'll see. Maybe that'll be a thing with
give it time. Even
like
if it's
maybe the jock son. But I'm thinking, you know, the whole thing with the guy having the social anxiety disorder.
Now here's another thing,
and he might be the one with the powers too. That's what we're figuring out from the pilot.
The one that's the jock is the one that doesn't have the powers, right?
Yes. Okay. Now who knows? Who knows though? Maybe
this would have been an awesome opportunity to make a Smallville connection. It would have been awesome if Clark would have, you know, I understand there was some sort of a line where the kid is like, hey, I don't mind not having powers. You know, if I did, I wouldn't be able to play football or something like that. And just have it reference back to, you know, Clark telling him, yeah, you know, I wasn't able to play football because, you know, it would have been an unfair advantage and my dad wouldn't let me.
Well, that's what they were worried with originally the son Jock, because they said he's like a really good athlete, and they were worried, oh, is this some latent ability that he's such a good athlete? But then when the son found out, oh, I don't have the powers, well, that's good. Now I know it's at least not coming from
and that's a fair story to follow up on, because, you know, if I didn't have powers but I was really good at something, man, this would be a great way to do a social commentary, right? Really? Yeah. You don't give me any, I don't have any powers. It's not like I couldn't be great just by working hard and doing well for myself. I have to have superpowers in order to get where I am. And that would be such a commentary on the whole, you know, tokenism that exists today. Yeah, where, exactly. We've got to be fair to everybody. And you know, no, people need to work hard to get what they, you know, you aren't born with superpowers, so you got to work harder, you know? But they're not going to do that, because that's the opposite kind of message of what the CW is all about. So.
And I have to tell you something else that they did in this pilot episode, which I thought was kind of stupid. His teenage sons don't know that he's Superman until something happens in the episode. He's kept it hidden from them for like, I guess, 15 years or 14 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They would have figured it out. Okay. What? Oh, I mean,
you know what? Especially after, you got to assume, well, they may not put this much thought into it. I'm putting more thought into it than they do. But anybody who watched Smallville knows that in the very first episode, Clark was pissed at his dad because he kept, so what are you saying? I came from outer space? Well, as a matter of fact, yeah, we waited until your freshman year in high school to tell you this, but yeah, you're from outer space and you're an alien. And that's where all these powers came from. And you kept this from me, and he's pissed about it.
Yeah.
So although I don't really like the trope of, the woman, dressing down the husband, it's way overdone. I think it would have been absolutely appropriate in that storyline for Lois to turn to Clark and say, so your dad kept that secret from you. How did that turn out? Did you think it was a good idea when you did it to your sons? But there was wasn't there like an argument between them about telling the kids in the first place?
I think so.
That's what I had heard, that they weren't unified on that decision. And
I think Lois wanted to say something to them, and he's like, "You're going to have to tell them, okay?" And like he's like, and I don't know what his reasoning was. Like maybe he didn't want them to know because he didn't want them. I think he was worried that this jock son was going to have the powers, and that the other son would feel even more alienated.
And then if that's the case, then that's the conversation he should have had with his son. Said, I didn't get to play football because I had these powers. I was hoping you didn't, and I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to not be able to play football.
I'm gonna say this too. Is this what I want to be seeing on a Superman series? Do I want to be seeing all this teen angst? I mean, it's the CW. It's all about teen angst. Do I want to be seeing all of this?
Don't ask me. I loved Smallville, so I mean.
Yeah, but Smallville was, at the end of the day, Superman fighting villains of the week. Okay, granted, they were meteor freaks, but it still felt like Superman. It still felt like Clark Kent. There was that wonderful episode in the season 1 where you had that one kid with the psychic powers and like this evil guy, I guess his stepdad or his natural father, or whatever. Yeah. He drags the kid into a bowling alley and he just shoots the guy who runs the bowling alley with a shotgun. He's coming out. Really nasty character. And you get to see Clark Kent pick up a bowling ball and throw it through the wall at the guy. And I'm like, that made the episode for me. Okay.
Well, you don't know. That's exactly what this could be. It could be a good Superman series. It could be Superman showing, the same fatherly abilities that Jonathan had, in Smallville, passing it on to the next generation, being a father the way we need fathers to be in this world. That sounds like too much to hope for, though, because I don't think the writers at the CW are capable of conceptualizing a family that way. No. I am expecting that somewhere down the line, the kid with the power, absolute power corrupts absolutely. He's going to become a villain.
I think so.
Going to rebel against his father. Lois and Clark are going to end up getting divorced or something like that. I mean,
and maybe they'll patch it all up at the end. I don't know.
But you know what? Everybody seems to love it right now. I don't want to take that away from anybody. Maybe CW's turning around.
No, I'm not seeing it because like I said, I know everybody was raving about this. And I'm thinking, I understand that the Superman on the show is acting like Superman, but I think they're going to be putting this character through the ringer. Okay, emotionally, probably speaking, I suspect that's going to happen. He already lost Ma Kent in the first episode. She passes on, which I know even happened in the Christopher Reeve movies. Well, that was in Superman 4, but of course she's going to pass on at some point. But I have a real bad feeling about this show, and I know people are raving about it now. I'm thinking later on, there's going to be something bad happening with the sons. They're not Clark. Okay,
yeah,
Clark was always a good guy. Okay. And these are just acting like regular teenage sons. And the one has all these emotional problems. Like he takes, I think, medication for his anxiety and stuff. I'm worried they're going to go the route. And I don't even know if this is even portraying what he has correctly on the show. Like, I don't know.
It is a recipe for disaster.
I'm really worried now about how this is all going to turn out. And I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not going to continue watching it. And they introduced another... a Lex Luthor or maybe he's not Lex Luthor. Maybe it's an offshoot of, he's just called Captain Luthor, and he's from another, I guess, an alternate planet. Okay. Like an alternate Earth that got destroyed where I guess he fought Superman. Okay. And it looks like from the back of his head that he's black. So I don't know if he's like Luthor's half brother or I don't know. They haven't explained anything. He's another villain introduced in the show. And I'm not saying that that couldn't work, because I'm not thinking that he's Lex Luthor. I'm thinking he's a different Luthor, but I just don't know. I
didn't see it. I've heard enough that I'm glad that there's people out there that like it, but I'm not going to invest. And keep in mind too, I also heard a lot of people like the first season of Arrow. They like the first season of The Flash.
I like the first season of The Flash.
And it
wasn't until season 2.
Yeah.
Season 2, it started getting even darker, and I'm like, this is a superhero show.
Yeah.
Okay. The Flash is supposed to be a lighter superhero series than even like Superman. Okay. And I feel like they're doing this whole thing. Oh, Barry's mother got killed, and they're introducing all this stuff, and it doesn't stop. And I don't know if it got lighter in later seasons, but I stopped after 3. I'm like, I'm done.
Look, past is pro. I don't need to see something to know what it's going to be like. I've seen enough CW shows to know that even if this is starting out good, it's not going to stay that way. We saw it happen on all the previous shows. So why would this be any different?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the guy said he's Doom guy or Doom. He does look like the guy from Doom, from the video game Doom. Anyway, go ahead. Though you're saying.
No, I was gonna say, you know, especially in light of our next story, because
oh boy, this is the big one. Yeah.
You know, I realize it's different because they don't let their peas and carrots touch. The CW has nothing to do with what's going on in the movies, but now they're talking about a Superman reboot in the works at Warner Brothers with Ta-Nehisi Coates writing and J.J. Abrams producing.
Everybody is screaming about this. They are not liking this guy.
Well, let's start with the obvious, right? The fact that anything J.J. Abrams touches turns to shit. He destroyed Star Wars. He destroyed Star Trek. Now he's going on to Superman. Really? Yeah. Past his prologue.
Oh, man.
I think I'm going to have to, like, on my channel, I think I'm going to have to start calling it Past his prologue.
You ever see that image of Abrams going to each room when you see Star Trek and there's blood trickling out of the doorway, and then there's Star Wars blood trickling out of the doorway,
and then
now
it's
like Superman or DC or whatever it is. Yeah. I don't know what they're planning with this. For starters, they just say he's attached to write. There were rumors about them wanting to do a black Superman movie where I guess Superman is black, and I don't know what that would be. Would that be like how in the one Spider-Man, like the multiverse for Spider-Man, how Miles Morales is Spider-Man, or would this be a different Kryptonian that came to Earth?
I actually think
raised by a different family. I don't know.
I think you are giving them way too much credit, but yes, a lot of people are speculating if they're going with the idea of this being an alternate universe, and this is Calvin Ellis or Val Zod or something like that, then fine, you know, whatever. But no, I can almost guarantee you this is just going to be a reboot, and they're just going to say, yeah, Superman just happens to be black in this reboot. Yeah. And it's going to be Clark Kent, Kal-El.
Okay.
He just happens to be black. I can almost guarantee you that, especially when you consider this author and
should I read a bit from the article?
Go for it.
Yeah, as the national correspondent for the Atlantic, Coates covered cultural, social, and political issues, specifically that of African Americans and white supremacy. His 2014 cover story for that publication, The Case for Reparations, started as a national conversation on the subject. He was named the top work of journalism of the decade by New York University's Carter School of Journalism Institute. And I'm kind of wondering, what's this guy's credential to write comic books? Now, I guess he has done some comic books since then.
Yeah, he's worked on Black Panther, but people have said that his work on Black Panther was not good. You know, it hasn't gone over well with the fans, but whatever. You know, that's Marvel's problem.
Oh, Brian Gilmartin, J.J. Abrams is a hack director. I hate to say this. They announced recently Super 8 release on 4K Blu-ray. And part of me said, why? It wasn't a good movie.
To begin with, yeah, exactly.
That was a movie I went and I was hyped. I'm like, okay, the guy behind Lost and Fringe, you know, these shows I loved. He's making a movie. Looks like it's an homage to Spielberg movies of the past. I'm excited. I'm like, oh, that really wasn't that good.
But
let's
just jump right into this Ta-Nehisi Coates. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're past his prologue.
Yeah.
Okay. if you don't mind, I would like to read
Go for
an
it.
excerpt from his book.
Do it.
It's an excerpt from his book, Between the World and Me, by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Specifically, this is page 86 to 89. We arrived 2 months before September 11, 2001. I suppose everyone who was in New York that day has a story. Here is mine. That evening, I stood on a rooftop of an apartment building with your mother, your aunt Chana, and her boyfriend Jamal. So we were there on the roof, talking in the sight. Great plumes of smoke covered Manhattan Island. Everyone knew someone who was missing. But looking out upon the ruins of America, my heart was cold. I had disasters all my own. The officer who killed Prince Jones, like all the officers who regarded us so warily, was the sword of the American citizenry. I would never consider an American citizen pure. I was out of sync with the city. I kept thinking about how Southern Manhattan had always been ground zero for us. They auctioned our bodies down there in Between Two Worlds and Me 87, that same devastated and rightly named financial district. And there was once a brutal ground for the auction there. They built a department store over part of it and then tried to erect a government building over another part. Only a community of right-thinking Black people stopped them. I had not formed any of this into a coherent theory, but I did now, as bin Laden was not the first man to bring terror to that section of the city. I never forgot that. Neither should you. In the days after, I watched the ridiculous pageantry of flags and machismo of firemen, the overwrought slogans. Damn it all. Prince Jones was dead. And hell upon those who tell us to be twice as good and shoot us no matter. Hell for ancestral fear that put Black parents under terror, and hell upon those who shatter the holy vessel. I could see no difference between the officer who killed Prince Jones and the police who died, or the firefighters who died. They were not humans to me, Black, white, or whatever. They were menaces of nature. They were the fire, the comet, the storm, which could, with no justification, shatter my body. I saw Prince Jones one last time, alive and whole. He was standing in front of me. We were in a museum. I felt in that moment that his death had just been an awful dream. No, a premonition, but I had a chance. I would warn him. I walked over, gave him a pound, and felt that heat of the spectrum, a warmth of the Mecca. I wanted to tell him something. I wanted to say, beware the plunder. But when I opened my mouth, he just shook his head and walked away. So this is somebody who stands and watches the horrors of 9/11 and just smiles as first responders are trying to save people, because we deserved it.
Many of whom died saving people, many of whom died after because of the
but he
effects
doesn't think
of being
those people deserve to be saved. So anyone that tried to save them deserves to die.
people of all ethnicities, nationalities.
And he's
in
going
those
to write
hours.
a freaking Superman movie.
I have no idea what Abrams is thinking, what Warner Brothers is thinking. You're trying to make peace. Peace with what? I don't understand this. This is hate. This is just pure hate. That's all I'm seeing here, written in here in these paragraphs here.
Guys, I didn't even understand half the language he was using because it's poorly written and poorly edited. Yeah. But I read it exactly the way he wrote it. That's a quote out of his own damn book.
Yeah. I mean, when was this book written and published? I'm curious. I don't know if you know that offhand.
I do, because I literally have a download of the book here. It's copyright. Oh, let's see. That's tiny. Let me zoom in here. Copyright 2015. Oh,
okay. So well into the okay, because I was like, you wouldn't be able to get away with that right after 9/11. That wouldn't you would have been. I guess he waited till it was safe to say those things. I guess that's the only thing I can think of, because You know, that was that.
I don't care.
I mean,
there's never a right time to say that kind of bullshit.
there's never the right time to say it, but I'm saying there be to avoid repercussions for saying that. I guess the culture had to change enough, okay, to where you can get away with that kind of the hate to the country. Okay, you said that right after 9/11. Forget it. You're going down. No one's going to publish that. I don't know why that changed either, but
I wouldn't even give him that much credit because he's claiming this was his feeling that day.
Oh, BS. He was probably worried that he was going to get killed by terrorists that day. Come on. That's what everybody was thinking.
You know what? This is what he says. I'll take him at his word. I'll take him at his word that he's a fucking asshole. Word.
Yeah, just like I'll take Pattinson. Well, we'll talk about Pattinson next week.
Yeah.
But, just this isn't.
Yeah, and Auditor Dredd's right. You don't see him getting canceled for these comments. Of course not. Because his loony leftist Marxist socialist, friends agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Or at least they'll say they do.
Yeah, he isn't even Brian Gilmore says he isn't a writer, he's an essayist and a very propagandistic one at that.
So
I don't
this whole thing about a black Superman may or may not happen. This is not, if I'm correct, it's not actually part of the article. It's what people are speculating based on who's involved here. And I at this point, I don't even care about the idea of doing a black Superman or not, because it's not going to be Superman with this guy writing it. It can't be. I would sooner take the Snyder Superman over this.
All I know is I know that Warner Brothers was getting in pretty thick with the BLM movement on the television front, and I don't know if this is included in that or what's going on here, or this is somehow connected.
The comics are all in on the BLM thing.
Well, yeah,
Batgirl is joining them.
But I mean specifically with members of that movement, giving them contracts and stuff.
Oh, if I know.
Yeah, I mean
it doesn't matter if they do or not. They all subscribe to that radical, ridiculous political ideology, so it's gonna make its way into their stories.
This is one of the most unpatriotic things I'd ever read.
This is an absolute non-starter.
Those men were heroes. I'm sorry, those men are the real heroes.
Well, this is what's going to be circulating until they actually put this movie out and no one goes to see it, or they decide, you know what, we're not doing this.
Do you remember after 9/11, all the comic book characters, and they were saying, you guys are the real heroes, like Superman, Spider-Man, all of them. They were saying this, times have changed, haven't they? Okay. When you read something like that, and he's the one writing Superman, okay, you've gone from let's celebrate the firefighters and the police officers and everyone else who was there at ground zero, including the mayor of the city at that time too. He was there. If he had been there like 15 minutes later, he would have died in the rubble. Okay. He was actually inspecting what was going on there. He never got credit for that. Rudy Giuliani. Okay. Lots of people in the city too. Business owners, probably the same business owners that got their places wrecked over the last summer. They were helping people out in the city. They were giving free meals to people stuck in the city. I don't know. This is completely backwards. I don't think Warner Brothers is completely morally bankrupt right now. I have no idea what's going on there. This is just disgusting. And Abrams is a hack director. I'm sorry. I've tried liking his stuff. I should have known that Star Wars was going to go downhill after I saw Star Trek Into Darkness, which I couldn't stand that movie. I noticed all the Trekkers had said it was the worst Star Trek movie up until that point when that came out. The fake remake of Wrath of Khan that wanted to be Wrath of Khan, but it completely missed the whole point of that movie. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
No. This is absolutely, I feel like putting it in perspective, and you just got to rant about this kind of stuff. I mean, you don't put someone that's this full of hate in charge of a Superman movie. You can't do it.
Do they like think this stuff isn't going to come out, or do they know it's going to come out and they just don't care? I don't know anymore.
Well, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this. Mecha Random kind of inferred it, but I haven't heard anyone else overtly state that maybe this isn't even gonna happen. It's just them baiting us to get us talking about them, And then when it doesn't happen, we can feel like, hey, they're listening to us. Maybe. I don't know. Because I can't see how they can drop that one author from this Superman series who goes out and says, oh, they let me go because, you know, I wanted to wake up their story and it's going to flop without me. And they did it because I'm black. And, you know, everyone's like, shut up. Your stuff sucks, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they're not setting this up to be the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, it's not because you're black. It's because, you know, no, this can't work, you know?
Yeah. I have no idea what she did right. It might, I have no idea. Again, I was not that impressed with the pilot for Superman Lois, but dear, it sounds 20 times better than what we're going to get.
What we might,
what we're going to get from this monstrosity that Abrams is making. I stopped.
So it also makes you wonder, does this say something about them having no faith in the Snyderverse? Are they, after putting out this, you know, Snyder cut, do they expect to not continue with it anymore and reboot? And they're going to reboot with this, you know.
They don't know what they're doing at this point. Okay.
They haven't known from the beginning. I'm just
they're seeing what sticks at the wall. I think maybe they're thinking this stuff might sell, all this anti-American nonsense with the new generation. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll play it by ear. I did have one more story I wanted to get to tonight if we have
absolutely
time, okay. Maybe this is the lighter story of the night, which is kind of funny, but this is the because I did promise the Star Wars group we would say something about Star Wars. Daisy Ridley fires back at Ted Cruz after he defends Gina Carano over Mandalorian firing. This one is kind of just stupid. Yeah,
this is stupid, cringy, kind of funny in that regard. Actually, I mean that's why.
Part of me almost, I mean, I don't know. Okay, the Texas Republican U.S. Senator took to Twitter earlier this month to defend Gina Carano, who lost her role on the popular Disney series The Mandalorian over her controversial social media posts. They weren't controversial, but whatever. They were controversial to some people. Okay, this is what he wrote. Texan Gina Carano broke barriers in the Star Wars universe. Not a princess, not a victim, not some emotionally tortured Jedi, tweeted Cruz, referring to Daisy Ridley's Jedi in training Rey. Right. Cruz added that Carano's character of Cara Dune played a woman who kicked ass and who girls looked up to. She was instrumental in making Star Wars fun again. Of course, Disney canceled her.
Right.
Cruz's diss was brought to Ridley's attention this Tuesday during her interview with Yahoo Entertainment's. The Star Wars actress said she wasn't aware of Cruz's tweet, but didn't hesitate to respond. I am very happy to be an emotionally tortured Jedi who doesn't leave their state when it's having a terrible time, Ridley told the outlet.
Okay. And let me stop you right there. Because damn, bitch, way to make it all about you. Because he wasn't freaking talking about you because you ain't no Jedi.
Yeah.
You're no Skywalker and you were no effing Jedi. He was not talking about you.
Yeah. Who was he talking about?
He was talking about Luke.
Yes. Luke was the emotionally tortured Jedi. Now, not that I want to, here's what I will say. I believe that the Yahoo News, I didn't see the Yahoo News interview, so it's possible they framed it as he was talking about you when they told her about it. At first, I thought when I read this article that she tweeted back to him, and I'm like, okay. But it's possible that the whatever sleazy journalist they had over there framed it in that capacity too. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
No, he was, no, it doesn't. Yes, I know.
As, you know, because look, if you're in that movie, okay, you read the script. You didn't just read the lines that you had to say. You read that whole damn script. For all three of those movies, you know what the stories were about, okay? You know you weren't an effing Jedi.
No, she's all the Jedi, according to the Rise of Skywalker.
She's it all about
the Jedi. You. She's all the Jedi. It's all about her.
Oh, yeah, I'm all the Jedi. Yeah, and you were born perfect yesterday because you're a fucking Mary Sue.
Okay.
Make sure that you bleep this out when you upload it to Rumble.
I will. I'll do the thing. Anyway, but she cries. She has those scenes where she cries as heroes out of Rise, so she's emotionally anyway. Look, I don't know. Her career is not going so hot lately either. I don't know what else she's been like. I was at least expecting her. Like, it's funny because I was watching that.
She had a nude scene as a corpse once, I heard.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Of course, it's a corpse, so that might be kind of
yeah. That does not sound.
Let's not go there,
let's
not go there, Mr. Boomer. Let's not. Don't become like Bill Cosby. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm being bad tonight. I'm being bad tonight. I'm being bad tonight.
I did not say that.
Okay.
The comments and views of Aged Boomer. Well, that
was a Camille. Anyway, let's not go there. Okay. Anyway,
well, this is his channel.
Daisy Ridley ruins everything. Anyway, this stream's gonna get taken down now. Anyway,
Probably.
Okay. Oh man, I'm sorry. I was watching All Creatures Great and Small, and I said, "Oh, I think that's Daisy Ridley." I see. Oh no, that's a different actress that looks something like her. Okay. So I guess I don't know. I mean, she's a pretty British woman, but I don't see her coming out in anything going forward. I'm sorry. I don't. She's going to do something for Disney Plus where she plays, I guess, an Olympic swimmer. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything else. Like, I was thinking she would show up on BBC shows now or something, but I don't know. I've heard nothing about her since that movie.
Don't care. Honestly, just whatever. But yeah, the fact that she decided to make this about her, screw you, Daisy Ridley. He wasn't talking about you.
Just
you
stay
arrogant
out of it.
bitch.
I don't know. And part of me wonders, too, could that whole thing have been rehearsed? I'm going to say this, and then you can say this because she's British. Maybe she doesn't know American politics, right? You should say this about this guy. He's one of those bad Republicans.
You know, there's
likes,
another thing. There's another thing. I'm getting fucking sick of people from outside this country having all their opinions about our country. You know what? You worry about your own country. You deal with your own Brexit and all that bullshit.
Do I chime in on this stuff? No.
And all of that. You know, you don't have a vote over here. I mean, unless you want to come to this country illegally, then you probably could vote.
Well, we'll see how that goes in the coming years. I did want to remind everybody though that Mr. Matchstick does have a Warhammer stream coming up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and in fact, I already have the link ready to share. I will drop that right now.
Oh, thank you, Troy.
Absolutely, okay. I was preparing for that.
But
so yeah. If you want to check out the Warhammer 40K Space Marines playthrough over on Mr. Matchstick's channel, as soon as we're done here, jump over there. The link is right there.
Oh, that's funny. Casey Scott said, as a Texan, if I had cruise money, I'd want to leave for the sun when it was freezing. I want to leave the country in general right now and go someplace far away. This is not fun right now. I mean, granted, there are probably far worse places in the world right now, but let's be honest with you. This has not been fun times in the United States for like the past over a year.
I am not going to comment on somebody, that can afford to taking a break, because for F's sake, every time Obama went and played golf, no, that was perfectly okay. And you Republicans talking about it, that's just sour grapes. But boy, when it's the other, shoes on the other foot, the same logic doesn't apply. You hypocritical assholes.
Well, my point is that the media say, there are two big scandals now that we no longer have a certain president in office, and they're saying it's the governor of New York scandal and Ted Cruz. And I'm thinking, there's a big difference between those two. Okay.
Really, really big difference.
The New York one, apparently,
New York people died.
A lot of people died,
and now people are accusing him of assault.
Yeah,
and Ted Cruz went on vacation.
Yeah, he took a vacation. Maybe at an ill time, but at the the time.
I mean, let's get our priorities in line here. But
there's a big difference.
These are also people that don't feel that life is sacred in any way. So,
I know.
And burning down businesses and beating people is a peaceful protest.
This was supposed to be the lighter story tonight, Troy.
I'm just sick of these people.
We didn't get to Mr. Potato Head. He's no longer Mr. So, you have lots.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
If we're low on stories, yeah.
And it's not a big one. The only thing I want to say about that, kind of, we can get into it more another time, but it's stupid marketing, because the whole reason there was a Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head was they can sell 2 toys. Now it's just going to be 1 toy.
Ridiculous.
That's fine, brilliant. If you want to cut your market share in half, go ahead, do it.
We'll talk about it more next week.
Yeah.
And we will have some probably some more of the Batman news if these current quote unquote rumors are to be true. This thing doesn't get better. We might talk about that next week. Have you heard the latest with that, Troy?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it after.
That's okay. You'll send me a link and I'll add it to the notes.
I'll talk about it with you after the stream, but we should probably be heading out there. Head over to Mr. Matchstick's channel. We will be on Mr. Matchstick's channel on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What is that for Central?
An hour before you.
7, so that'd be 7. Okay, so yeah.
Making you do math.
We're going to do another episode of Culture Fortress, so tune in to that if you have a chance. And I will be on Soundtrack Suburban this week. We will be doing Conan the Barbarian. Big Al will be stopping by. And what's your movie for next weekend, Troy?
That's on Netter's channel, Netter's Network.
Netter's, okay.
And that is AI, the artificial intelligence. And I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm doing anything on Friday night, but you know what? Hit me up on MeWe if you guys want me to do a stream on Friday. You know, maybe a little Carnarvon wagon rollout, tell you what I'm drinking. And, you know, if you want to, I'll be there.
We could talk about alcohol for the stream.
yeah, maybe I could. I'll literally make it a Carnarvon wagon rollout. Maybe I'll do that. So if you guys follow me, look for me on Friday night. I'll do a stream on Friday night just to hang out with y'all.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, catch you guys later. Head over to Mr. Matchstick's channel and you have a good night. And this was a bad news night. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. I don't think there was anything on here I like talking about except for that cheesy 90s Dracula show. And you know what? It's all on YouTube. And you can just have fun with it.
Go check it out.
Have fun with it and just pretend you're living back in simpler times because hopefully the future is better. But we'll see.
Catch you later. I know that the news isn't fun, but hopefully our banter makes it a little bit more fun.
Yes. All right. Catch you guys later.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.